Welcome to the very first video version of Watch Talk. I say video version because we have been doing this on Facebook for a while now, but then Revision 3 called me up and was like, hey, you should take this idea to the land of video, and I was like, yes, you're right. Reason being is I think this venue will make it a lot more fun and interactive for all of us. For those of you that are confused and wondering what the F I'm talking about and what Watch Talk is, I will now explain. Ready?
Ready.
Watch Talk will be a weekly show released every Wednesday. Each week I'll pick a movie from the Netflix Watch Instantly queue, since that's the easiest way to access them for most of us, and then we'll meet back here the following Wednesday to talk about it. I'll give you my opinion of the movie, then show videos of your opinions, which I'll invite you to send in. And you don't have to watch the movie from that week from Netflix. You can watch it any way that you can get it. I'm just picking Netflix because it's super easy to get the movies there off their instant queue. And you can get your first month free by going to netflix.com/Watch Talk. So if you don't want to pay for Netflix, you can still use it for a month and then just get rid of it if you don't want it, but you're probably gonna want to keep it. Win-win. But we're gonna start today without your review, since this is the first episode, and for this first episode we'll be talking about The Shining. And just as a fair warning, if you haven't seen The Shining, stop this video and come back after you have, since it's probably gonna have plenty of spoilers in it. Netflix describes The Shining like this: on the wagon and out of lucrative work thanks to his alcoholism and family troubles, aspiring novelist Jack Nicholson accepts a position as an off-season custodian at an elegant but eerie hotel so he can write undisturbed. But shortly after, Jack, his wife Shelley Duvall, and his young son Danny Lloyd settle in, the ominous hotel begins to wield its sinister power in the chilling horror classic helmed by Stanley Kubrick. Off the bat, I'll tell you The Shining is one of my all-time favorite horror films, which is kind of funny to me because I'm typically not that big of a fan of Kubrick's storytelling. I love his visual storytelling, but the actual story and pacing itself, typically not for me, which I know is sacrilege for a lot of people, but chill out. It's all opinion, and that's mine. The film isn't necessarily scary in my opinion, but it does pile on the suspense and an increasingly eerie sense of dread that is built slowly and methodically throughout the film, which for me, the typical slow pacing of a Kubrick film doesn't work, but here I think it did as much for the suspense as not showing the shark did for Jaws. It also doesn't hurt that Jack Nicholson was amazing as a man who slowly but surely completely loses it and turns into a psychopathic killer bent on axe murdering his entire family to death.
Little pigs, let me come in.
And Scatman Crothers. I was like, oh no, the Scatman! Which brings me to something I hated about the movie. Almost all the performances, other than Jack Nicholson and sometimes the little boy, were freaking terrible. Especially Shelley Duvall. She was not even remotely good in this film, or any other for that matter. She was just ridiculous and almost ruined a lot of scenes for me. But then we come to what this whole thing is about. Yes, it is about a man who takes a job of a caretaker at a hotel that seems to have some kind of haunting going on. Then the caretaker, under what we assume is the influence of the hotel, slowly turns to madness and tries to kill his family. And that's what's going on the surface, but as it is easy for anyone watching to pick up on, there is much more going on here than just that surface story. First clue into that for me is the fact that the hotel is called the Overlook Hotel, which feels like the filmmaker telling you not to overlook anything that happens here. Now, the layers in this film are pretty hard to unlock. There are a lot of debate on what everything means and why the film ends the way it does, but I feel like there's a lot of ambiguity on purpose, which leaves the film open for plenty of repeat viewings and debate. For me, I felt that the main theme was that of a father whose vices were destroying a family, from alcoholism to the references of child abuse to the verbal abuse on his wife. Then we move to the bathroom scene with the woman. She seduces him, and it isn't until he sees what he's done in the mirror that the situation turns ugly. Then in the end, he becomes frozen, or stuck, you could say. Then the wife and son leave him, and the hotel finally claims him, as we see in the final shot of the film. Of course, that's an oversimplification, since the movie is riddled with unanswered questions, like even the use of mirrors. He shot so many things with such extreme symmetry that it looked like the image was cut in half and then just mirror images of each other. And that's why I thought this would be a great one to start with, since I think everyone will see the film a little bit differently, and no opinion will be wrong. So if you want to sound off with your opinion on the film, post it in the comments below. But remember, only kindness, no reason to be a douchebag. But that's my opinion, and now is a part of the show that starting next week we will show your reviews. But since it is the first episode and we don't have reviews from you guys yet, I gathered a few friends together to send in their opinions to help me kick off the first episode. So let's hear that.
Alright, so let's talk about The Shining. I was 5 years old when somehow my mom thought it was a good idea to let me sit and watch it with her. But watching it again as an adult, it is easily second place greatest horror movie of all time.
I don't really know how I feel about The Shining. I was a little confused a lot. A lot of the times I was really confused.
I am the guy who hates The Shining. I know, but hear me out, okay?
And I kind of didn't like the story.
It was just the way I remembered it. Completely disturbing.
Number one, I can't tell what character we're supposed to be into. We can't be into Jack Torrance because he's a crazy pants from the beginning.
Everything from the bizarrely long shots and the allusions to a world outside of your comprehension, and the confusion is palpable.
Because everything seems crazy and wrong from the beginning, going slow with it just bores me.
Most of the time I was kind of bored. Like, Jack Nicholson was freaking amazing the entire time.
Jack Nicholson was perfect for it.
You're just watching him and you're like, yeah, this is a guy who's gonna kill his family and everybody near him one day.
But anytime Shelley Duvall was on the screen, I just wanted to punch her in the mouth.
She's just this ridiculously oversimplified, hysterical woman. And the kid is...
I wanted to strangle the kid.
The sound, the music was super eerie.
The pacing, you know, that Kubrick slow, methodical pacing, which you would think translates really well into something that's suspense or horror, really doesn't here.
There's so many things in it that make so little sense that just leave me wanting more of this bizarre, twisted world to understand why and how things work and how they came to be.
There's so many questions that I kind of don't care to even find out.
What was that?
You know, and there are some great gripping scenes in there, okay? The scene with Lloyd the bartender is one of my favorite scenes in a movie of all time.
The maze was one of the coolest parts of the movie for me.
And by the way, why didn't Popeye come to Wendy's rescue?
The book and the movie are two different things. I understand adaptation is an art, Kubrick is a master of adaptation, etc., but he changed so many fundamental things that made the book the story that it was.
Overall, I think I liked the movie.
I really didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would.
It's very rare that you get movies leaving you with so many questions, and The Shining is a fantastic example of somebody who does it right.
Don't like The Shining, and it stresses me out so much that I grew a really terrible half beard.
The only good thing about it was Danny's hair. He puts Justin Bieber to shame.
So that's it for this review. Big thank you to Brian, Anthony, Callie, and everybody else that put in a review for this episode. I was really excited to see that Anthony had such an extreme opposite viewpoint on the film than I did. I was really hoping that somebody would, because most people like The Shining. I wanted that opposite opinion. Even though I don't agree with it, it doesn't make it wrong. Everybody's opinion is true to them. Even though I think we're not supposed to know who the person we're following is. I think we're supposed to question all the observers, even our own mind, as the movie slowly slips into madness with Jack going crazy, the mother becoming more and more hysterical, and the son, as Anthony said, is a little off. But I do agree on some of the iconic moments, that the bar scenes are some of my favorite dialogue scenes of all time, and obviously the typewriter scenes. But from now on, we want to put you on the show too. We really want to hear your opinion and turn the show into one big conversation for all of us film nerds. So next week, the film we're watching is Dial M for Murder from Hitchcock, which you can find on Netflix Watch instantly, so jump over to
netflix.com/watchtalk for your free trial.
Watch the movie for freezies, then make a video of your review and post it here as a video response. The deadline for the video submissions are Monday night, so get to watching and talking. Fun. I'll see you next week.